Welcome into Fantasy Victory Now, and let's get right to it with your 5 players to add heading into Week 3. We start with Khiry Robinson of the New Orleans Saints with the injury to Mark Ingram.
Khiry Robinson. You know, Mark Ingram's going to miss a month with a hand injury, which is decidedly disappointing considering that we finally got to see the talent we all expected from Ingram when he was drafted in the first round. The Saints had been splitting workload between Ingram, Pierre Thomas, and Khiry Robinson pretty evenly. So with Ingram out, I believe Pierre Thomas will mostly retain the role that he's had this year as a pass-catching specialist. Robinson will get the bulk of Ingram's carries like he did last week when he had 8 carries to Thomas's 3. As the lead back in a high-powered offense, Robinson's got significant value. My free agency bid amount on him is 23%.
And the high ankle sprain to Jamaal Charles, I think you have to preface that with the dreaded high ankle sprain.
It is always
the dreaded.
Yes.
So Knile Davis now the go-to back in Andy Reid's offense in Kansas City. So what do we think of Knile Davis?
Knile Davis, right. Jamaal Charles has a high ankle sprain, and we know that those are really dicey to return from. If the Chiefs do the right thing, they'll sit Charles for a month. If they could rush him back, then Charles could take the field in like 2 weeks. But then he might hobble around, be ineffective, get re-injured, and then miss another month. So, I think history shows there's just no way to shorten the timetable of recovery from a high ankle sprain. Good, mild ones are at least 2 to 3 weeks. Severe ones are 5-6 weeks. So, now oddly over the past 4 games, going back to last year, Knile Davis might be fantasy football's best running back. He has scored 5 touchdowns, including 2 last week after Charles suffered the ankle injury. Now, he's not nearly as explosive as Charles is. He averages a boring 3.5 yards per carry over his 2-year career. But Andy Reid has no hesitation about using Knile Davis just as he would use Charles. So your free agency bid amount here is pretty high, 20%.
More injuries to the backfield. We have Ryan Matthews going down. So now Donald Brown may be a guy to look to in San Diego. Yeah,
it looks like Ryan Matthews is going to miss a month or more with his knee injury, which makes Donald Brown the new starter for the Chargers. Sure, Danny Woodhead's role will increase a little bit as well, but Brown's going to get the vast majority of the workload that had been Matthews. Brown is coming off his best season as a pro. He averaged 5.3 yards per carry in Indianapolis last year. As a 1-month starter in a solid offense, Brown's worth a fairly aggressive bid. I think you bid around 20% for him.
The Colts last night, Monday night, running all over that Philadelphia Eagles defense. Trent Richardson's still there and had a pretty respectable 70-some yards or something like that. But Ahmad Bradshaw, Brown the old Colt. Ahmad Bradshaw, a guy to look to in Indy.
Yeah, for sure. Bradshaw just looks better. Last week, I urged you to pick up Ahmad Bradshaw, noting that he's a lot better than Trent Richardson. And I said at the time, you'd only have to spend 2 or 3% of your waiver budget to do so. Well, after Monday night's big game, he's going to cost you 500 to 1,000% more this week if he's available at all. Sure, Bradshaw is a foot injury waiting to happen, but until then, at worst, he splits touches with Trent Richardson. At best, the Colts come to their senses and they give Bradshaw the lion's share of the work. I think from a free agency bid standpoint, you're looking at 15% of your cap.
Doug Martin was inactive this past weekend due to an injury.
Yeah.
Bobby Rainey really seized that opportunity and went nuts.
He did. He ran for 144 yards after Martin was deactivated. The last time Doug Martin topped 144 yards, Doug Martin, was Week 9 of 2012. Rainey topped that number in Week 11 of last year. I'm not sure Rainey just isn't the better runner at this point. Martin has been frequently hobbled by injury, and he just hasn't been that particularly effective when he's been healthy. Rainey will need to improve on his pass blocking before he'll win this job outright, though. I think from a free agency bid standpoint, you're looking at about 10% of your cap.
So there you go. It's a critical week of running backs to pick up this week. Off the waivers. 5 of them there. Khiry Robinson, Donald Brown, Knile Davis, Bobby Rainey, you name it, just go get them.
Absolutely. And we've got, about 7 or 8 more guys listed at fantasyvictory.com. A little deeper list of all other players you'll want to get. But this week, the high-end, high-profile free agents are all running backs. But go to fantasyvictory.com for the full list of guys that we think that you ought to be able to go target in free agency.